6 murders in one day. This is
I don't like to see injustice. I don't like to see people taken advantage of. I don't like to see lies
and more lies on top of lies.
I wasn't expecting this from the UNC government, but I must say, the UNC government is the worst government that ever served Trinidad and Tobago. I wasn't expecting it, but we've seen it. You're seeing pure racism. You're seeing revenge. That they're taking it out on Afro-Trinidadians because they send all our way home. We had no work. You look at what going with Joshua Samaru. You ain't even talking to your homeland security. Like it's a big joke. Like how they want to raise the crime and kill out all the Afro-Trinidadians. You come to bring a big thing and say about, oh, the PNM areas, the PNM people stop it. Afro-Trinidadians from getting it. Hush them out to that all. They don't care about we, boy. We seeing pure racist treatment right now. And I ain't saying all these things. You're not Trinidad and Tobago racist, no. But Auntie Kamla, you're pushing that. You're pushing that. You hear what I'm telling you? And we let's pray and wish that the Most High and the God that each and every one of us serve, that can get rid of all the from inside and there's some miracle to happen. You hear what it is I'm saying? We tired people suffering out here. And there's not nobody who want to give me a hand out. People was walking. Stop make black people look like we lazy. We was out there working. But they always want to look down and we and make we look like we some big fools. 9 months people out from work. How people surviving? Them stupid Philip Alexander. Look what you do. All they send out workers are talking about 300%. So you cut out workers to bring back new workers. What kind of... Are they mad? Are they going mad in this country, boy? When people say I'm paying, boy, we don't want it again, boy. And all they who thought their feelings with that. Yeah, what's going on? Or they can go and choke and go to follow total feelings. It's real.
Evidence of the UNC's failure to create a safe and disciplined school environment comes not from the PNM, but directly from the mouths of the two ministers involved, the Minister of Education and the Minister of Homeland Security. Open confession is good for the soul, Mr. Speaker. In March 2026, under pressure, the Minister of Education was forced to admit troubling facts. Instead of reductions, the minister revealed a spike in school violence. Newspaper headlines, The Express on March 4, 2026, stated the situation clearly. Classroom chaos. Classroom chaos. Not even a year in.
And they in charge.
On Wednesday, the 5th March 2026, the Guardian headline followed. Trouble in schools. Trouble in schools, Mr. Speaker. The media reported Minister Dowla, the Minister of Education, as saying that incidents during class time, look at it, incidents during class time with a member of staff present rose from 401 to 544. This tells us, and this is the minister's words, this tells us, as reported, this tells us that behavioral pressure has shifted into the classroom, which directly impacts teaching quality. This is the minister being reported in March of 2026. The minister said that a further evaluation of the school-oriented policing program for term 1 of 2025-26 showed that national suspensions increased from 2,659 to 3,005. The minister himself admitting that the program put in place, narrow, shallow, short-sighted program, did nothing to reduce school violence. Even earlier this week, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Homeland Security admitted growing concern over a troubling rise in student violence as arrests mount in schools. 19 pupils have been arrested and charged within 3 months. Mr. Speaker, 19 pupils have been arrested and charged within 3 months, Mr. Speaker. The ministers themselves have admitted that the narrow initiative that the UNC hurriedly put in place just is not working. Suspensions are on the rise. School violence is on the rise. Arrests of school children, that's on the rise, Mr. Speaker. The Ministry of Education is clearly in free fall under the UNC. So one minister is intent on putting more police in schools, while the other minister is intent on removing the need for police. It is clear that the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Homeland Security and those ministers are working at cross purposes. Chaos and confusion, Mr. Speaker.
All right. I like what you're saying there. I like what you're saying. So let me ask you a question, right? If you have children in your home, you never train your children them the proper way for 10 years, the outer order. You're letting them curse, you're letting them do whatever they want, right? And then after you reach that point that you cannot handle them, right? So you send them by the aunt or the uncle because you can't handle them no more. You think that your aunt and uncle could fix them in 1 year? After you had them ill, how you had them doing what they want, they're messing up the place in 10 years time. Could your aunt and uncle fix them in 1 year? No, brother, it doesn't work so. First, we begin your aunt and uncle have to put them sit down and find out what is the reason these children getting on so. And then, try the best to come around with a result to fix it. Me and some all, yeah?
The fact that you're not happy with Nyla Blackman speaking about people having empathy, because I know it hit hard. It hit hard when somebody say, oh, they don't have empathy. I know how you're feeling, but that is how the average Trinidad and Tobago persons feel. That's how the citizens feel. And if you take a poll right now from the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago as to whether this government has any empathy, whether they have any sympathy, and whether they have any compassion, I don't feel they're getting a single vote. So the fact that you want to probably threaten her, because we know you're responsible for B-Mobile, and you're probably sending a little signal to her. But focus on ensuring that people get water. Boasting about fixing 30,700 pipeline leaks. Similar to the statement about how many people get employed. Because you want to give the impression that under the Honorable Marvin Gonzalez, he wasn't doing no work. That is the impression you want to give. I want you to list the 30,000 plus leaks that you fix. I want to use the opportunity on behalf of my colleagues here, Carl Imber, Keith Scotland, Hans Devines, who is chairing, and myself. The people from Diego Martin want water in their pipe. The people from Arima want water in their pipes.
We need water.
We need it. So focus on that rather than going to tell Nyla Blackman about what she should and shouldn't say. Because that is no different to what they did with Helen Francis.
Censorship.
And taking off the mic, you know. And why is they taking off the mic? The mic on. So you know they give instructions to take off the mic.
Yesterday, during the debate for the state of emergency extension, a lot of so-called bombshells were dropped. And I can say I'm personally absolutely frustrated and fed up by every politician using parliamentary privilege to drop these bombshells. So Carl Imbert would have asked the Prime Minister about whether or not she knew that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency sought the extradition of 2 UNC members. And, the Prime Minister, rather than addressing, to me, a very serious claim, said, well, I don't know about that, but I know about PNM Balize House being built on drug money. First of all, Prime Minister, if you know about Balize House being built on drug money, you need to take that very serious claim to the police. Take your evidence to the police, right? This kind of bombshell being dropped in Parliament, there's no different to email-gate behavior. And the allegation of 2 UNC members, where the USDA is seeking extradition for them, we need answers about that. That's not drama and bacchanal and movelang. The country deserves serious conversation inside of Parliament and proper follow-up. The second this bombshell is the Defense Minister. Well, he put his whole foot in his mouth when he said that Dana Sitahal knew that she was going to be murdered. The authorities knew because there was intelligence, there were intercepts, and they did nothing about it. This happened in 2014 under Kamla Persad Bisessa's watch. Again, this cannot just be, so people, because I'm seeing people clipping it and putting it on TikTok for likes and bacchanal. We have to move past being entertained as a country by politics and really understanding politics is the way that we govern our nation. These 2 issues need to be addressed seriously. It's not a TikTok live and bacchanal and movelang. This is not a Netflix series. Did the authorities have intelligence that Dana Sitahal was going to be murdered and they failed to act on it? Because that is what we heard in Parliament yesterday. And the Prime Minister needs to answer. Did the US seek to extradite 2 UNC members? And if you know for a fact, as the head of the National Security Council, that PNM Balize House was built on drug money, then I suggest we have a formal investigation opened. Trinidad and Tobago, this is not about bacchanal. This is our country. We ought to be good citizens and good stewards of this country. There's not Netflix and chill.
So this UNC civil war is starting to get more and more interesting every day. So the Shogunas West MP, Dinesh Rambali, has issued a stern warning to the UNC executives to call at the internal elections immediately.
The UNC's inability to win the next elections or any elections stems from the continued failure of the leadership of Mrs. Kamla Persad Bisessa. I saw a news article this morning saying that Kamla said that she will serve till the end of her days. That means that it will be opposition for the UNC until the end of her days.
So do you think that Kamla Persad Bisessa has her back against the wall? Or do you think that it is just a few of the low-hanging fruit on the UNC tree that is just speaking up and trying to make a bigger fuss about calling the internal elections and replacing Kamla Persad Bisessa as the opposition leader and the leader of the UNC? So what are your thoughts? Do you think that Kamla Persad Bisessa will be a proper opposition to Kit Rowley? Or do you think that the UNC party needs new leadership, as Dinesh Rambali stated?
Trinidad and Tobago, pleasant good day. I don't like to see injustice. I don't like to see people taken advantage of. I don't like to see lies and manipulation and it have a lot of things that I'm seeing, and that is painful to listen to. And one is the tarnishing of one's name or one's character, bringing your name into disrepute. And This is about the policewoman who got killed, Eversley. When that murder happened, you was hearing that, oh, she had the police quarters like a brothel. She was a hoe. Then you're hearing she was in some drug syndicate or some gang. Then you're hearing, you know, she was selling the weapons in the police station, selling the bullets, and how they knew about it. This doesn't make sense. I want to cuss right now. This doesn't make sense, because there must be checks and balances in the police station where the arms and ammunition is concerned. And if all you suspect that she was selling the bullets and selling the guns, there must be some kind of lockdown at the station to check or to do a check on the arms and ammunition in the station. And I am seeing they're trying to tarnish this woman's name. She is dead. Dead man tell no tales. And you all trying to tarnish her name, her memory. This is how low this government has gotten. This is how low all you're going. This is what you're doing to the population. You are trying to make the incident look like, well, she looked for that. Well, she deserved to die. This woman was brutally murdered. Brutally murdered. And this is what, it sickens me. It sickens me to hear and see this. To see you all putting up the family on the newspaper and trying to pull the dirty laundry out in public. You're airing it in public, and it sickens me. I don't know these people. I don't know them. But something in my spirit sickens me. Trinidad and Tobago, we need to come together. We need, I don't know how else to say it. We need to come together. You see, just as how you nurses came together and march, and all you're marching for money, I want all you to come out and march. Come out and march with Wendell Eversley when he called the date of his march. I want you all to come out and march. I want the teachers to come out and march too. I want the landlords to come out and march. Homeowners, come out and march. I want the taxi drivers, come out and march. Because what is happening in this country with this government is affecting everybody. Crime, rising prices, job losses, all these CPEP workers, everybody who lost their job, come out and march. Come out, Trinidad and Tobago. When we are united, when a people is united, we will never fall. What we are doing right now, the nurses alone marching, the Bar Owners Association by the self-matching, everybody coming up separate and matching. No, we need to come out and show this government that we are serious, we are not stupid. How long will you all sit down and not come out? How long? Trinidad and Tobago. Enough is enough. And it's about time we send a message to this government. Enjoy your day.
Lies, lies, and more lies on top of lies. Listen to Mr. Govero speaking to the press. So, all I rather to come up with lies, to put a family to all a heartache, to put somebody who your officer crippled, paralyzed, that you say, right? To push you to all the order and talk about let the court decide. Why didn't charge the officers and them and let the court decide? You was to charge the court officers, sorry, and let the court decide. So here you are saying now that the police and them only going with instruction because they give the crowd instruction and they decide to do what they want, and this is not a lawless society. Shame on all this. All they lay out some places where they don't want no protesting taking place, right? They ain't go there. They're going down by forensic. You know, they're going down by forensic and mash up the protests. Nobody mash up the protests up in Superior, up in Kamla Stronghold. Miss Prime Minister, I can't call it honorable because none of it honorable. All it is that dishonorable ministers, right? Do the needful thing and step down then, because you say that a gimmickry. These protests that are taking place is a gimmickry. So the PNM chain up all these young folks and all these people that come out to protest against Kia and protest for her husband's death. So this is gimmickry. You calling this gimmickry? Something really wrong with you, but they're really out of touch. I really feel when you start to link up with the US, like they switch you and they give you an AI and they take you and they have you update you. You could never be real. This could never be real. But I hear with my ears here. You calling these protests gimmickry. After a man died and is come a long way, paralyzed by the bullet from the TTPS, you calling that gimmickry. Shame on you. Shame on you, Madam Prime Minister. All they have all the day. All they will have all the day. If all they can escape from man, which all they will, but God all they will not escape from. He will bring all they back to remembrance with this wicked act that all they're doing, and you have no compassion, you have no empathy, you have none whatsoever. None whatsoever. Sympathy, nothing whatsoever. For you to come out and talk these talks. The young people out there, the same young generation that all they calling lawless and disrespectful, the same young generation that vote you. It's the same young generation that set race and party aside and vote you because they want to change, and now they vote you, and now we're looking for a proper change. We can't get change. The change from bad to worse to worse. Because if they do the needful thing and let the Attorney General do the rightful thing through the DPP, you understand what I'm saying? Get the post report on this matter. You see the videos. You know, charge these officers and them. I don't know why all they play the whole world watching all they looking so stupid. So stupid. And all of a sudden nobody can talk to none of your government ministers because they get so high and mighty and arrogant. Same thing you was talking about on the campaign trail. You was kicking against that. And these come in and do the same thing. All of that bunch of hypocrites, all 41 of you all. Rowley had 40 hypocrites. You have 41 hypocrites. You have one more hypocrite in front of Rowley. So here you are now calling this thing gimmickry. When I listen to that and I hear you use that statement, I say, oh God, I can't even call it anti-Kamla. I don't know wicked aunt. None of my aunts and them wicked. I call it evil auntie. Evil anti-cam. Evil. My goodness. I don't know what to say about this government again. I don't know what to say about it. But I want to let you know that the cries and the young ones are upon you all. the prayers upon the prayers of the people upon you all, not just upon you all of you all, for upholding this lawlessness, because the lawless dump is in the Red House, the lawless dump is in the UNC camp, all the lawless and all the dump. When UNC win, only UNC win. Almost less. When UNC win, only UNC win. Not when UNC win, everybody win. That I lie. That's a gimmick. That is gimmickry. Because that is what they call gimmickry. By you gimmicking people by using that statement. When UNC win, everybody win. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like that at all. And only very because the youths and them, they were a side party and line and gathering. They listen to all kind of shit music that all they promoting all on the station. Why all they stop them chipping music from playing on the radio station if all they want something to do? But all they want to ban people from protesting. Don't protest here. Don't protest here. Laws that all they making up overnight. Under what condition? These things that went to the court, these things that went to the parliament to pass or go to the court, none of these things that pass and go to the court. So when they make up all these laws and things now and people get charged, what going on? They had to get charged the case because these laws and them was implemented. Attorney General, you again, boy, shame on you, boy, Mr. Jeremy, boy, dishonorable man, boy. Shame, all you. It's time for them to go, boy. Time for them to go. Time for them to go. We fed up all them. We fed up all them old thieves and all them old deceitful ones and them. Fed up all them. I fed up all of them. I fed up all of them. I wish I could press a button and open up a hole and all they fall down in that hole, boy. One button to press and all the old hags and gags and witches and warlocks could fall down in that hole and just leave here, boy. And let me try to build this country and make this country a better place. Because by all the building governance, waste of time. Well, let's pull it down more and more, and the whole world watching us. The whole world watching Trinidad and Tobago on the map. Watching this video, watching the outcome, and watching the see. When this girl come back from America, she should come with a team and lawyer. And the sad thing about it, when just suing, don't sue the TTPS because the TTPS belongs to the state. So it's obvious taxpayers' money, got to pay that money. You see the 3 police officers and the lying DVP and the lying police commissioner, sue them directly. Let the money come out from them pocket. That disgrace, boy. Is that disgrace I'm talking about transparency. That can never be transparency, boy. Total cruelty, boy. Total cruelty. Imagine this girl go through all of that and all they want to come and lay charges on top of paralyzed girl to play with your mental, boy. So if the girl had a mindset to heal, and that could show she back, but God preserve this girl for a reason. My spirit tell me God preserve this girl for a reason, to set a stage or set a precedent for all you in the TTPS to know when one hands up, don't kill because you are sworn to protect and serve. This statement that the Prime Minister said, knock it behind them, empty a clip, and all this kind of thing. Imagine if you was drunk when you was saying them kind of thing, because no person in the right frame of mind will come out to talk them kind of talk. Your head was bad. Vodka and punching must be caused that. And they find weed in your premises, so it must be smoke a big roll on. You understand? So how come nobody never bring charges against you for the drugs on your compound? If you ain't smoking it, somebody smoking on your compound. But anyhow, the kind of exotic drugs all they'll be smoking, we don't have that out here, so it play with all their mindset. For you to use a statement like that, knock it behind them, empty a clip, you direct that to the police and them. So that's why the police and them killing people. So before you come in power, 3 youths lost their lives in Port of Spain coming from a party down in Diego Martin, where the police intercept the vehicle, run them off the road, riddle on the vehicle with bullets from behind it, kill them, kill the youths and them. One girl from was pregnant, the child never get chance to see father. You kill them, or they kill the 3 young boys, no gun in no car, no ammunition, no drugs, nothing, All they know, all they chase the wrong vehicle, all they was following them. You understand what I say? Nobody shoot behind all they. All they known for this, boy. Nobody shoot behind all they, boy. I tell other people, pray to kill all you. People cry, gonna kill all you. People cry, gonna kill all you. Be careful. Understand what I'm saying? What all they're doing is unlawful and unrighteous in the sight of God. Forget man in the sight of God. God at the final say, Madam Prime Minister, do the needful thing and do the needful and the right thing and just let the officers them know what to do. Homeland Security Minister, waste our time with you because you was once a TTPS officer. You know the drill. You know the drill because you was once doing the same thing too. Right? So everybody cannot be wrong when they speak about you. Justice Minister, same thing again. Waste of time. You represent a set of criminals. Criminals you representing, Mr. Wayne Search. Criminals you representing. So let know them. You are that criminal lawyer, so let know them. Come on, man. For telling Kettle bottom black, like evil and wicked.
So more taxes to be implemented in Trinidad and Tobago customs in January 2026. Then the government decided to raise births and deaths. So not only did they lie on promises, but now they're making it worse for us to live. Now, I supported UNC. I did support UNC in the previous election. And that was because I was fed up by the dinosaur PNM politics and the control and the dictatorship. And now it's worse. What do we do? What do we do? I have no confidence in UNC or PNM. Zero whatsoever. Trinidad and Tobago, what do we do? Our government is sucking us dry, putting us in parts of war, and basically not keeping a position or a place for the civilians to make money. What do we do?
6 murders in one day. This is for who have eyes and who truly see in the direction this country going. 6 murders in one day and many more murders before this 6. We at almost 200 plus murders and counting. Poverty at 16% and rising. Unemployment, wow, it ain't looking good. Police killings, now supported by the led Kamla Persad Bisesa government. Protesting is no longer a right. And I say again, it is not looking good. The economy is driven by PNM. PNM do this. PNM is the blame for that. PNM is why we here. And corruption by many players in the UNC, ministers like Saddam and Lee Singh and many others, is driven by the same notion of PNM. PNM did corruption. So what is the problem with UNC doing corruption? The problem is Trinidad and Tobago. It takes away from us. It breaks the economy. It breaks your pocket and how you pay your bills and buy your foods. It pushes cost of living up. And folks, it empowers low-grade governance and more of your tax dollars going into the pockets of UNC financiers, the Prime Minister's friends and family, the Minister's friends and family, and their pockets. The value of many Indians in this country towards protecting those type of financial corruption and police killings saddens me, because you are so colored yellow, you are so influenced by leader and party first. You don't care if our children suffers, if our community suffers, if our people, Trinidadians, suffers. Not race, our people, Trinidadians. Folks, this is sad. And we need to wake up in this country. We need to hold each other hands on the foundation of unity. The foundation of being Trinidadian. Let's come together as the CFP calls for a nationwide national shutdown of UNC country. This will be a national stay-at-home push. And for those who want to come out in front these UNC ministers' constituencies office, it will be much safer for you. Because the right to protest is the right to protest, and no government, no prime minister, no commissioner of police, no state security bodies should be blocking those rights, restricting those rights, ripping those rights away from you. So we have a plan. Because when you see fools like this, I say again, when you see fools like this, Trinidad and Tobago,
I don't want nobody come telling me about protesting anymore. I have done that in the last 8 to 10 years. I've been protesting for bad roads. I've been protesting, highlighting abandoned schools, abandoned HGC houses, jobless society. I have been protesting over the years. I'm sure you all have been seeing my face popping up, highlighting these things. And we have been begging people to come out on the streets in full support to develop our country while that Rottweiler government was in power. And guess what? In that 10 years, if 100% come out, that was the most. So, if you want to see me staying quiet, just know that I've done it for 10 years. After 10 years, I think it's time to call it a day. Trinidadians do not want change.
you see people like Stacks and the many others. Some of them I would have never seen in any of the protests. We stood in, fighting against Key Christopher Rowley for the 10 years, and selling false claims troubles me. We stood against the forced vaccination that was handed down to us by Key Christopher Rowley, the Prime Minister back then, and the many jobs lost, the crime situation, it wasn't easy, it was hell. Kamla Persad, I say again, backed the vaccine that murdered many and destroyed many lives. Many, many lives. The same vaccine, people like Stacks and others say they stood against the hardships and the restriction of our rights. Now under the UNC government gets a pass where they now celebrate a prime minister who was opposition back then, who supported Keith Rowley forced vaccination, where many are sick today. I see many Indian people asking me, where have I been for the last 10 years? Why all of a sudden I show up and I'm against this government? I have always been against the UNC government from 2010 to 15, against the PNM government from 2015 to 2025, and I ain't changed. So I have been here for the 10 years, even in Port of Spain when we got tear gas, fighting against the forced vaccination to save many of you Indian people lives, to protect all you, to make sure they wasn't forced, to make sure that all they could keep all the jobs, to feed all the family. And when the intention was to vaccinate from a line of school children, we stood up too. Again, Kamla Persad went against many of you Indians who are sick like a dog right now taking Keith Rowley vaccine. Kamla Persad is at fault for that one also. Now, let me tell you something. We hope all the support this nationwide shutdown of UNC country. And you see people like Stacks in that video talking about they will never protest again. You know why they wouldn't protest? You know why many of them will not protest? They are now with the UNC government. Their intentions was always to support whatever protests, to be on the good side of Kamala. We fighting for you. Don't forget we when you win. So now they get the payoff.
I don't want nobody come telling me about protesting anymore.
And we asking you all to stand with us. 19 bullets, Trinidad and Tobago, 19 bullets, almost 200 and plus murders. 6 murders, in one day, and many more before that. How long are we going to suffer under the mother of the nation? How long are we going to deceive all yourself and believe this mother of the nation have all your back and front? Folks, the UNC government is one of the most corrupted government and should have never been back in power. Trinidad and Tobago depend on honest, hard-working and ready to fight for your freedoms people who will stand with you through thick and thin, who will choose to put PNM and UNC at the back burner and you the people of the country first. The CFP is a new political organization and we stand by all citizens first. We stand by young people first. We stand by protecting the futures of our young babies. And we asking you all to stand with us. 19 bullets, Trinidad and Tobago, 19 bullets, almost 200 and plus murders. 6 murders, in one day, and many more before that. How long are we going to suffer under the mother of the nation? How long are you going to deceive all yourself and believe this mother of the nation have all your back and front? Folks, the UNC government is one of the most corrupted government and should have never been back in power. Yes, mistakes happen. But the CFP is giving you, the citizens, an opportunity not to run back to the PNM, no. Not to run back to the PNM, but an opportunity to start new. To start new away from the UNC. So stand with us as we stand with you.
I've stopped watching Monday Night Forum, Community, whatever different names that they call it, Pavement Report, whatever. I've stopped watching it because very similar to Keith Rowley, it doesn't matter what Kamla Persad says anymore. It's all madness, it's all stupidity. So unless little clips come straight into my inbox, I generally do not know what new nonsense they have to say. I want to address Kamla Persad Bissessa. I find it a disrespectful statement, first of all, to call third-party pop-ups. Philip Alexander, by the way, I hope you know that's how she's referring to your third party. So all this suck up you're sucking up. She thinks of third parties as nothing more than pop-ups. But I want to address the misinformation, because someone who is asking for your vote needs to be better than somebody who spreads propaganda. That is what I call PNM. I call it the propaganda machine. And so for Kamla Persad Bissessa to join that bandwagon where you spread misinformation, I find it to be really unacceptable. So she talks about, the third parties. They've never, they can't form government. They never even win an election. She make a mistake, so she take it back and she said they never even win a seat. Well, that's not true, because in 2010, we had 6 seats won by the COP and 2 seats won by the TOP. Now, of course, I've been in UNC, so I've heard the whole thing about Kamla Mania, although 2007 results, if you look into Diego Martin, right? And I will always only speak about Diego Martin. Rocky Garcia would have gotten some 7,000 votes, which is very, very close. I mean, UNC in their 30 years of history never get more than 2,500, no, not even 3,000 votes inside of Diego Martin. So when they talk about, the third parties can't do anything, she has to remember that while she thinks and she can argue that it was the Kamla Mania that brought about the 2010 results, one, we never vote in anybody. So nobody voted in Kamla. We voted out PNM. And for the first time, what people felt, and I can speak because I tell people I am the definition of a swing voter. I am not a blind UNC supporter. I'm not a blind PNM supporter. So I will tell you what we think. We saw COP. That's what we saw. I can tell you what I heard on the local government election trail. It's why you didn't walk with me. It's why you were the one telling us we're blue. We need you to walk with Gary. Gary needs to endorse you. And I can tell you on the election morning, I had voice notes coming to me saying, but Marsha, I thought you were with NTA. There's no way I voted for UNC. No way. So people went in the booth and came out and said they voted for PNM because when they reached, they saw Marsha Walker next to a UNC symbol. That is what we hear. But you stand on political platforms and say only them fellas in the West could get gate. When you speak about them fellas in the West, do you really think that you can win on the East-West corridor by yourself? So what you needed that. You needed it. And just like in 2010, after you use the third parties to gain some kind of goodwill, then you just discard of them. But somebody is filling your head. Now, of course, I actually think this is my theory, and my theory might be wrong, but I think you want to lose because the country is in such a mess. And I can tell you, I have heard from one of your own MPs when we were sitting down in a coffee shop and somebody came up and talked about, boy, how are they pulling this thing back? And the person said, I don't even know if I want to get back into government because this country's in such a mess that to bring this back will be near impossible. And we all know that what UNC cannot do, PNM can do. PNM can rally the right set of troops and shut this country down. So if you do not deliver, as soon as you reach into government, come 2025, and we know you cannot deliver with the current bunch of misfits that you have inside of the opposition. So what will happen? We're looking at maybe a 1990, because the country don't have the kind of patience they have for PNM, they will not have for UNC. So if you ask me, you had to be doing this because you want to lose, because it is easier for you to collect a salary, and now your salary going up 70-something%. It is easier for you to collect a salary inside of the opposition and not actually do work, because every time something fails, you can simply say, you see, well, if we was in government. So that is my theory, because there is no other legitimate, logical reason for you to get on a platform and disregard and disrespect third parties like that. I cannot understand why you would do that. Do you really think UNC could win on the East-West corridor? And again, let me address your misinformation, because when you talk about third parties never win a seat, and I just showed you that, but I know that you could say, yeah, but they win because it was Kamla Mania. Chaguanas West, which is the safest UNC seat in 2013, you put Khadija Amin to run in Chaguanas West, and she get a proper washing. Not as good as you got when you ran for NAR in Superior. In Superior, you lose your deposit. Not that bad a washing. But it was like, what, 12,000 votes to 5,000 votes? ILP, wash UNC in Chaguanas West. Wash. The safest seat. So you're spreading misinformation because the 18-year-olds and the 19-year-olds may not remember the 2010 results, may not remember the 2013 results. So it's misinformation. And as Patrick Manning once said, show me a liar and I will show you a thief. So when you come onto a platform and say something that Google is there. We are in the age of Googling things. It's easy, it's a one click. And you will say something so blatant, so proud, that is Keith Rowley's style. It's only Keith Rowley that stand up on a political platform and say things that you could click on in a one click and find out it's not true. So when you talk about, let me address the second thing, because TikTok has a 10-minute maximum time. So I want to quote the other one. One purpose and one purpose only, which is to allow the PNM to slip through. So you're parroting this thing about, third parties split the vote and it gives PNM an opportunity. Again, if you look at 2010, having all those third parties actually allowed UNC to slip through. That is, it benefited UNC. And it has always benefited when we see an alliance of a set of little pop-up third parties. It's always benefited the UNC. It's always benefited you, right? Because when you lose with NAR, and then Pandey bring you in as a senator. Anyways, but we ain't gonna go down there, right? We ain't gonna go down to the fact that you went against UNC in your first election. The fact is, alliances have always benefited the third party, the UNC, the non-PNM. It has always benefited the non-PNM. What does not benefit is when UNC disrespects the third parties, think they can go it alone, because guess what? They've never won it alone. That is what history shows. So it is beyond me, as I said, that you are not putting your tail between your leg and trying to humbly form alliances. It is beyond me, but and I want to make sure and say something too, because I'm not for alliances. I want to say that in my last two minutes, I was never for alliances, because the People's Partnership did not work. The NAR government did not work, because they tend to split, right? But so I would have said to you, and I would have said to you, to you directly, that what you need to do is focus on building a strong UNC. Focus, get down into Diego Martin, get into Arima, get into these places, and actually let UNC gather real ground inside of there. But you did not do that. 10 years leading the UNC, and you are still afraid that a third party can come and split the votes. In Diego Martin, There are 16,000 votes available that are not PNM votes. And I see my time is coming to an end. But the point is, and I'm just going to use Diego Martin to close, 29,000 votes, less than 10,000 votes go to the PNM. You could have gotten in, Diego Martin, you could have done the work as 10 years as political leader, and you did not do the work. So for you to come and say that a third party could come and split votes, that is an indictment to you. To you as a failed leader. In 10 years, you could not develop UNC as a strong organization that it didn't matter third party come, third party go. So the only person that these statements say something about is you. You did not develop UNC into a strong institution. My 10 minutes is up. Stop spreading lies and misinformation.
Don't take chain up from no small party. Don't take chain up, what she call them, pop-up parties. Pop-up parties, just popping out of the, popping out in the open, coming to ask for your vote when they can never form a government. Never has a third small party even won an election, far less won a seat, far less to come to form government. They have one purpose and one purpose only, which is allow the PNM to slip through by splitting our votes. Don't get chained up, I beg of you. Do not get chained up by these pop-up parties. Remember, there's only one party is going to win this election, and that is the United National Congress.
So guys, I hope you are all doing great. I am really doing great on the other end of the world. And I want to thank you so much for your support. So guys, today's video is more like a political opinion rather than an established fact. That is the claim that Trinidadians were warned not to vote UNC and now they are regretting it. Remember, the people of TNT are showing a mixed of reaction, a mixed of point of views, and that is normal with the world that we do live in. So it's interesting to learn about these claims that is happening in Trinidad and Tobago, because the elections are already over. The campaign promises over, and now people are looking at reality and they're asking very difficult questions. Did they really make the right choice? So today, I want to talk about the frustrations that is among the voters of Trinidad and Tobago, and of course the debate that happens every now and then about them regretting that they were initially warned and they did not listen, and now they are paying for it, and now they are regretting. So some people are saying that they actually saw this coming. So remember that before the elections back then, emotions were so high and many people really wanted change. You know, when you vote for a government or someone like over and over and over, a time comes when you are tired. And this time, Trinidad, or rather Trinidadians, were tired. They were frustrated because by then, crimes were a major concern. The economy was a major concern. The cost of living was another major concern to them. So many Trinidadians, or rather many Trinis, felt that the country needed change. The country needed a new leadership, and guess what? The UNC promised all that. Anyway, people listened to UNC, they voted to UNC, and of course the government changed. Yeah, they wanted change, so the government changed. For many supporters, they felt like it was a fresh start in their life. They felt like it was a new chapter, a new opportunity. But guys, you know, election is one thing and governing is another. That's what people don't really get to understand about this. So today, as we speak, the conversation sounds different, very different. These people are now coming out and saying that they expected very fast results, very fast changes, and now, they expected visible change, not just change. They expected quick action, and instead, many of them are still worried of these promises. Will they ever be done? Crimes itself, it was a major concern by then, and it has remained to be the same till date. So the economy is another thing, like they're talking about the country experiencing high cost of goods, high cost of items. And I saw someone saying that, it's because the government has taken too much debt, and that is the reason as to why things are becoming expensive. Rent, water bill, electricity bill, name them. So the daily struggles, they're just there the way they used to be back then before the change came that they wanted. So, of course, the government, the UNC government is facing too much criticism now, given the fact that also the government was in the forefront denying protesters to go into the street and do what? And protest peacefully against this police brutality. So there is so much concerns. And now the people of Trinidad and Tobago are saying, guys, before elections, there are those that came out, including our own leaders, and warned us. Oh my God. They are regretting that these issues, they raised them before even election day. But then, unfortunately, the warnings were ignored. And now they believe that those concerns that they were actually told before, that they were raised before election day, are now becoming a reality. Oh my God. It's hurting. So, whether that is fair or not, it actually depends on who you are going to ask. But the conversation is growing bigger and bigger. It's getting louder and louder. Remember, nowadays, we have social media, not like 10 years ago, whereby people didn't know the importance of social media and access to smartphones was really minimal. Because when our smartphones came in, they used to be very expensive, by the way. But now every company has come in. They are manufacturing smartphones, and so many people are actually owners of a smartphone. So, in our conversation every day, we always try to put ourselves into the shoe of the criticizers and also into the shoe of the supporters. Suppose person A was criticizing whatever is happening. What would they have said? What would have been their point of view? So that's why we come in and try to discuss. And also, suppose person B was a supporter of this particular topic that you're talking about. What would they have said? What would have been their point of view? That's where I come in now and try to discuss it deeply. So, my good people, a lot of things are happening in Trinidad and Tobago. And now, social media has become like a battlefield. You come today, say something. Tomorrow, somebody has responded. The next minute, another person has responded. So it becomes a conversation, or rather, a place where people come to air out their point of view on certain item or issue that they are facing as a society or as a country. Okay, if you put yourself into the shoe of somebody that is criticizing something, then you will think about a Trinidadian trying to say that, this particular government, it inherited this difficult economy and difficult problems from the previous government. Because, you see, this is somebody that truly loves UNC, that truly supports UNC, and they don't he or she doesn't want any other person to see anything wrong in this current government. But again, remember that there is no organization, there is no person, nobody in this world is perfect, right? So today you'll actually hear one side says that the government inherited the difficult problems. Tomorrow you hear that the other side is saying that excuses are running out. And then another one is saying that, you know what, guys? We need to understand change takes time, so we need to be patient. But again, remember that promises were made and promises should be delivered. So these types of debates, they will never ever stop anytime soon. Every day, new conversation, surrounding the same topic, different point of view. And that's why we'll always be here to hear out our opinion on what's happening, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but across the entire Caribbean island. So at the end of the day, political temperatures continue to rise, you see. So what makes our story very interesting is the fact that, disappointments come in very, very, very quickly. Because you see, voters, most of them, they do expect immediate change, immediate improvement. But again, these things takes too much time. They want to see results immediately. They want evidence. They want accountability, transparency. Like immediately, you are sworn in today as the president. Tomorrow, they want to see results. And systems in the government, it runs very slowly. It has to go through a lot of processes. So you see, when this doesn't happen, frustrations appears. Criticism comes in, and that frustration can actually become a regret, you see. And regret, at the end of the day, becomes a political anger. So according to history, it has always showed that this particular trend, in many countries, that's how it happens. Frustrations, regrets, political anger. That's how it has always come out in many, many countries in the world. So in this case, the beautiful country and island of TNT is not unique in any way. Most governments, they often win elections with the hope that things will be better, faster, and you see. But then, when they come into power, the results get to delay. I don't know why it normally happens like that. When you are campaigning, you feel like things will be done within a flip of a second, but then you get in and discover that if you want to achieve something, it has to go through a process. And that process can actually take several months. So you'll find that most expectations become unrealistic. And, no government can actually solve a problem, especially a major one, overnight. Because, things are structured in ways that it can even take years, not even months. So most administrations, actually, if I may say, they actually need more time to do something. But again, so many people will disagree, because at the end of the day, you budget for these things each and every year. That's why there is financial year 2026, 2027. You plan, you budget. So what prevents you from executing? That's where now the big question comes in, and people really fail to understand this. Even me, I don't really get to understand most of these things, like most of the time, because there is even public participation on what the people want. But then, oh my God, things just get really, it really delays. And guys, the same trend happened, frustrations, anger, and then regrets and all that. So guys, there are so many people that are saying that, you see, certain problems, okay, as much as they take time, but at least there are those that we should be able to see them, because trust is also very important here. You know, when these politicians are campaigning there in the field, they tell us, they talk about urgency, that immediately you elect us today, this is what is going to happen the following day. So if politicians will be actually campaigning with patience and not urgency, then it will really make sense and it will make us understand things better. So that difference in expectation is actually driving most of this debate that we always come out here to discuss. Another issue is trust. Trust is something that I'll always talk about whenever I discuss politics and governance. Trust is everything in politics, by the way. You see, when ordinary citizens or voters, who are voters at the same time, when they trust leaders, they will actually be patient, very patient. You see this, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like these politicians that don't really talk much, most of them, they achieve so much, and there is so many things that are visible in them, and people are very patient. But if you find this that promise too much, oh my God, they always have very hard time even explaining themselves whenever elections are near or they want to be re-elected. So in a society, when trust starts to fade, then every problem becomes bigger in some way. Every delay feels longer. Every mistake feels worse. And that is why in politics, perception matters. Sometimes perception becomes more powerful than reality, by the way, because people vote based on hope. Anyway, many people come in, they judge the government based on experience. Others, they just judge the government based on so many things. But at the end of the day, we learn something. Many of us, we do focus heavily on elections. But elections are only the beginning of everything. Hard questions come about later on. Like, how do leaders perform once they get power? That is the question that many of us are asking now, not just in Trinidad, but everywhere. Promises are very easy. Performance is very difficult. So if you are so much into governance, leadership, political kind of, most of the time you'll see that the supporters, or if you are supporting a certain party, most of them, they do have, or they do face challenges, especially when their party wins. Because when the party wins, expectations rises, and many people expect progress, they expect victories all the time. But when reality hits, things become complicated. Disappointments, frustrations, And you see, disappointments are normally very emotional because people invested hope in that particular outcome. And hope is something very, very powerful, but it can also be extremely fragile. Okay. Meanwhile, if you look at Trinidad and Tobago, you'll feel there is this feeling that those that are opposing the UNC, they feel vindicated because they're coming out pointing at current problems and saying that they actually predicted this. They actually are saying that they ignored these warnings even before the election day. So whether they are correct or not, it shouldn't really be a matter of debate. But I can tell you that politically, there is a belief that current events support their arguments. Honestly speaking, the current events, Kaya Sili, the police brutality, honestly, cost of living, so many things. I really hope that you watched the entire clip so that you get to understand what is really happening in Trinidad and Tobago. So, you see, these kinds of arguments, they'll continue. They'll become louder and louder as days go by, because another election will be in the year 2030, I guess. So I don't know, where does Trinidad and Tobago go from here? A very big question. But remember, the government still has time. I know the story is not yet finished, right? And Trinidadians will continue to keep a close eye on what's happening. They will continue judging. They will continue comparing promises versus reality. And ultimately, they will decide for themselves. No politician will decide. No commentators will decide. Not even social media. The voters. The ordinary people of Trinidad and Tobago. Anyway, I don't know what you've learned from this. Personally, I have learned that elections create perceptions, or rather, elections create expectations. Governments create results. And at the end of the day, those who voted, remember both of them, election creates expectation, governments create results, and the voter remembers both. So, Trinidadians are still remaining hopeful. Of course, some are disappointed, angry, some are willing to wait. But one thing is certain. The national conversation is far from over. And as months go by, the pressure on the government will only increase. I don't know what you think about that. Do you think that the voters were warned? Because at this point, some voters are actually experiencing regrets. And I can tell you it's too early to judge, because we still have till 2030. Let me know in the comment section what you think about what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Guys, thank you so much if you watched the clip, the video up to this point. I appreciate your presence. I love you to the moon and back. Thank you.